Awesome. Thanks, Sam. Really appreciate everybody being here today too. We've got a great turnout and excited to be able to share with you about the new system-wide membership with the Intentional Endowments Network. Wanted just to give you a little bit of overview of how today's session is organized, so you kind of know what's coming up, some of the information that you're going to get. But I just want to reemphasize what Sam shared. Please, drop questions into the Q&A, and we are going to have time at the end too, if you don't happen to get one in there, that we can have some other discussion. And this is really meant as a starting point, so you get a global view of all the things available in your membership and some of the special things with the system-wide membership that CSU is getting, and there'll be a chance for follow-up after that too. So go ahead and have those questions going. So a few things, just high level about the Intentional Endowment Network. It is really the national standard for endowments in higher education and other socially focused organizations, to ensure that their endowment investments are aligned with their organizational goals. And it really has helped, I know, at the CSU Foundation, ensuring that we can take the appropriate next steps at each point where our board is ready and when we're ready to move forward. So just to kick us off, we've got a number of folks from the Intentional Endowments Network team on the call here. So I'm just going to ask them each to kind of briefly come off mute, just in the order that folks are on the screen, and share a sentence or two about the subject area with IEN that you represent, so that our CSU colleagues know who they can connect with over time. So George, let's start with you.
Great. Thank you, Aaron. And thanks everybody for joining today. It's great to be here, and we're very excited about this system-wide membership. So my name is George Dyer. I'm the co-founder and executive director of the Intentional Endowments Network. And you'll also see throughout some of our materials the Crane Institute of Sustainability, which is actually the 501c3 nonprofit that houses the Intentional Endowments Network. But I oversee the team and am involved with a lot of the projects and engaged with the membership in leading the organization. So again, very excited to connect with you all, and I'll pass it off to my colleague Paris to introduce themselves.
Thank you very much for allowing me to unmute. Hello, everyone. I am Paris Prince. I'm the Director of Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion here at Intentional Endowments Network. And JEDI is really pulsing through the heart of all we do at IEN. Very much looking forward to learning with and collaborating with all of our friends in California. And with that, I will pass off to my colleague, Nicole.
Thank you, Paris. And hi, everyone. My name is Nicole Tirico. I'm Managing Director at IEN. A little bit of a thing going on with my voice today, so I apologize for that. And I support our team and membership generally, as well as our corporate engagement work. And I can hand it over to Aisha.
There we go. Thank you for allowing me to unmute. Hello, everyone. My name is Aisha. I'm coming to you from Connecticut, but virtually in California in honor of you all. But I've been with IEN for a little bit over a year and a half. And at IEN, I'm the events manager, and I also advance climate justice through our Net Zero Endowments initiative. So really looking forward to engaging further with you all. And I will pass it over to... says Garrett's next.
Thanks, Aisha. Welcome everyone. Garrett Ashley. I'm senior fellow with IEN, but I tried to play a part in getting you all here today as Vice Chancellor Emeritus and someone who's been involved with IEN for, I don't know, George, maybe 10 years now. And I know a couple of our campuses even longer than that. So really looking forward to today and welcoming all of you here, and hopefully as a senior fellow with IEN, if I can be a resource or a help to any of you along the way, please don't hesitate to reach out. And because I was a minute or two late, I cannot tell who all is here. So it's either Noreen, Sorrel, Bella, or Dorian.
I don't think Noreen can make it, so I think Sorrel is next.
Great.
Hi everyone, my name is Sarah. I hope you guys can hear me because I had a prompt saying unmute yourself. So yeah, my name is Sarah Gacho and I'm the Communication and Media Manager for Intentional Endowment Network. And I basically support our media content and manage our social media accounts and also support our membership onboarding. I'm actually the one who created your profile on our website. So if you have any changes or updates that you want me to do on that, this is the person you need to reach out to. And with that, I would turn it over to Bella.
Hi, everybody, and thanks, Sorrel. My name is Bella Alvarez. I'm the Program Associate at IEN. I primarily support our Sustainable Retirements Initiative and our Silk Network, and that includes our Student Corporate Engagement Challenge. So we're excited to be connecting with you all.
And Dorian Nunez is another senior fellow with us who couldn't join today, but also helps promote the network.
Awesome. Well, thank you to the IEN team, so many of you, for being here today. We appreciate the strong support. As I mentioned, just a few of the items as we move through. George is going to take us through the key program areas that IEN offers, so you can get a sense of the types of subject matter areas that you can engage their support in. And then I'm going to take us through some of the benefits of the system-wide membership, and we'll get to hear a little bit of perspective from two campuses, San Francisco State and Cal State Fullerton, who were existing IEN members before the system-wide membership, and how they have utilized that. And then there'll be a little summary of how you can get involved based on items that you may have particular interest in. And we'll close out by talking about the upcoming Higher Education Climate Leadership Summit that is going to be hosted in Long Beach in the winter. And we're really excited to have that coming local for the Chancellor's Office and the chance for strong CSU participation. So we'll give you some more information about that and some specific CSU discounts. So with that, George, let me turn it over to you, where you can highlight some of a little bit about the membership of IEN nationwide and the key program areas.
Great. Thanks, Aaron. So this is just a little overview of the membership, and we'll share these slides after so you can look back. But we've got just over 250 institutional members at this point, and that is a mix of endowments and other asset owners, but also the outsourced CIO groups, investment consultants, asset managers, and other nonprofit partners in the space. So we have lots of great nonprofit partners that are working on different aspects of sustainable investing, where we kind of can serve as a hub and a distribution mechanism for some of the great resources from those partners as well. And just to emphasize, the core of the network is really about peer learning. So seeing how other endowments are thinking about these issues and what experts in the space, how they're approaching these issues. So there's no commitments to specific action. There's no kind of prescriptive element to being members of the network, and there are no reporting requirements. Although as part of the peer learning, we do love getting those kind of case studies. So if you have taken steps or engaged in activities that you're happy to share, that's really great and adds to the value of the network for other peers to sort of see how different institutions are thinking about some of these issues. You can see the breakdown on those membership types I mentioned. So predominantly asset owners, but also managers, consultants, and others. And then just a few kind of highlighting some of the institutions that are particularly active in the network and on these topics. And as you can see, really a mix of public and private, large and small, different endowment sizes. So lots of different ways to go about this, sort of represented in the network. And you can see the full member list right on our website there at that link. So we can go to the next slide. And this is just a bit about our focus areas. So in terms of themes, I mean, we really cover the full gamut of social and environmental issues that are relevant to investing and material to the investment process. But there's really an emphasis and interest amongst the network around social equity broadly, and particularly justice, equity, diversity, inclusion that Paris talked about. And then a lot of focus and work on climate change and climate risk in the investment process, as well as opportunities for investing in climate solutions. And again, lots of different ways to approach that. A lot of these conversations were sparked by students pushing for fossil fuel divestment. But there are, sort of a whole range of ways to approach that. And we've been doing a lot of work recently around the concept of net zero portfolios. So looking at emissions across the entire portfolio and climate risks of the entire portfolio and how that affects the investment process. In terms of capital pools, obviously endowments are sort of the heart of where we focus, but we do have an initiative around retirement plans as well. And obviously public institutions, I know most of those are with the state pensions, but if any of your campuses or foundations do have auxiliary DC plans, we've got resources around ESG and sustainable options in those, as well as student managed funds. So tying this back to the academic side of the house, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. And the impact in this is we find that as endowments learn about the opportunities and sort of more about these issues, they see the benefits in taking action to align those investments for more positive outcome in the real economy and in the companies that they invest in. And we've got a new project that, again, I'll talk about a little more in a minute, which we're calling the Endowment Impact Benchmark, which will be a rating system that will help give some credit and recognition to those endowments that are taking steps on all these issues. So we can go to the next slide. And this is our kind of conceptual framework. We call it our roadmap for endowments. And really just, again, without sort of being prescriptive, because there's so many ways to approach this, this is sort of a series that we find most investment committees or boards go through in learning about these topics, building consensus around how they think they would best approach them given the institutional goals and culture. And then the process of embedding that within a policy and implementing it with working with your investment consultants and external managers to sort of assess where your investments are, align them with those goals, and then monitor in an ongoing fashion, just like you do your traditional investments. And then, we think really critical to this is to communicate that out to students, alumni, stakeholders, to kind of get the full benefits of some of this work. So we have got resources that kind of align with each of these steps on our website and case studies around each of them. So hopefully this is kind of a helpful guide or framework that might be good for boards to reference in going through this process. And we can go to the next, and I'm not going to spend too much time on these, but just to quickly run through kind of each of our main program areas. And this is our JEDI work, and Paris is the lead on that. Again, we've got a couple of resources that are kind of core primers on thinking about racial equity in the investment process, as well as gender lens investing. But we have a whole range of programming around these topics, including a steering committee that sort of guides this aspect of our work, that hosts quarterly meetings for the membership to bring questions, bring their ideas, share their stories about how they're thinking about some of these topics. We can go to the next. Again, climate and the energy transition is also, a very kind of central theme in the network. We've got an initiative around the concept of net zero portfolios with, again, a steering committee that leads that, several case studies and some guidance documents to help define what that means and think about how to implement that as sort of a long-term framework for thinking about how both climate change impacts will affect investments and also how the shifting energy market will impact investments. And Aisha is a point person on that, along with myself, in leading that initiative. We can go to the next. I mentioned our retirements initiative, which may or may not be as relevant to the public institutions, but we've got sort of a guide on how to think about that and how to work with plan sponsors and advisors to add more options into those plans. And Bella supports on that work along with an external consultant named Chris Walker, who leads that initiative for us. We go to the next. Our student managed funds. Now, I think this is a great opportunity to really kind of engage in the academic side, the student experience, bring students into these conversations in constructive ways, and really expose them to the finance industry and to some of the leading investment management firms that are in our network. So we've got this network of student managed investment funds, but also other types of student groups or student clubs that might have interest in investing or sustainable investing. And Bella and Nicole lead on this work. And as Bella mentioned, we've got an annual challenge where student teams pitch investment ideas around both the impact from a sustainability perspective and the financial case for engaging with companies that they invest in. So yeah, if you've got any students or student groups, this is a great way to sort of loop them into this conversation as well. And we can go to the next, which is around our shareholder engagement initiative. Again, as most endowments invest through external managers, that can be a little tricky in terms of then how to vote proxies or engage with the companies that those managers are investing in. And this line of work kind of helps endowments think about how to do that. And we've got some case studies and guidance and partner organizations that can help endowments do that. And Nicole is the point person on leading that initiative. And we can go to the next. And this is that new project that I mentioned where we're developing a rating system for endowments. And this is really in some ways separate from the Intentional Endowments Network. It'll be another initiative of the Crane Institute, very closely related, but it's an opportunity for endowments that are taking some of these steps to get credit, to get third-party verification. So to really give an opportunity to share what you're doing. Sometimes there are limitations on what can be shared and how transparent investors can be working through external managers, but this is a mechanism to help you talk about what you're doing and show the progress you're making to students, stakeholders, alumni, donors, and hopefully really enhance your brand and show how your investments are aligned with your mission and goals. So we're just piloting that right now, and we'll have more results for that next year and be looking to engage many more institutions in that process next year. And with that, yeah, we were going to turn it over to a poll. And Sam, I don't know if you want to introduce this, if there are any guidance, but the idea here was just to get a little bit of feedback kind of from some of those topic areas that we focus on, if there are any that are particularly relevant for you, where you have the most questions or would be interested in engaging. And if there are others that aren't listed here, you can mark that and maybe we can just vocalize those as we turn to the Q&A or in follow-up.
Sure. And so,
go ahead.
I was just going to share that the poll is up and live and folks are welcome to enter their responses, as some are. And just in case it's popping up in a different screen, I'm going to briefly stop my screen share to let that come up for everybody.
And so, because there's so many subject areas that IEN offers assistance on, one of the things we wanted to use the poll for is based on those responses. We'll share those back with IEN so they know specific campuses that have specific interests and can follow up with you and engage on those as well.
Righty, last call for the poll. I am just going to briefly flash the results here for everybody and let George speak to some of the results.
Great. Well, yeah, I think this makes a lot of sense to me at first glance. I think that investment governance piece and the fiduciary duty is really core to the network and kind of establishing those policies and really leads into everything else. So great to see that interest there, and hopefully there are ways we can engage around the roadmap to support that process for you all. And then Jedi and climate seems like strong interest there, which makes sense as main themes, and student engagement. So yeah, I think that all makes great sense and is helpful. And as Aaron said, this gives us a better sense of where the system might be and where we can focus our engagement with you all.
Great. Well, I'm going to take the opportunity now. I'm just going to acknowledge too, I know in giving the overview of all the areas that IEN has subject matter expertise in. There's a lot that that we're going through between the poll, between sharing back out these slides, and then some of the couple of the closing slides, which we'll also highlight in a follow-up email to you, that has some good next steps that you can select from based upon your own campus interest. So just want to let you know that we're here to help kind of guide you in finding what's most useful for you. So in thinking about the benefits of system-wide membership and why we approached this, the CSU Foundation has been a longtime member and supporter of the Intentional Endowments Network. That was something that started under Garrett's leadership as Vice Chancellor, and he served on the executive board of their steering committee. And we've had a few other campuses, and you'll get to hear from them in a moment, that have really utilized their IEN membership to shape updates and changes to their investment policy, that have utilized some of the steering committees to do a little bit more of a deep dive into different subject matter areas. And as we kind of pulled back, there really seemed to be broad value across the system in everyone having access to these resources rather than going on a campus by campus basis. And kudos and thanks to IEN for putting together a really compelling proposal that just made one financial sense for us to do this as a system, and allowed us, the Chancellor's Office and the CSU Foundation, to fund that on your behalf. And also for some special ways for the CSU to show leadership in this area as part of the membership, which was something that was very attractive for us. So let's kind of step through what this membership entails for the system. So all 23 campuses plus the Chancellor's Office and each campus's philanthropic foundation receive membership in IEN. No need to pay any separate dues or any of that. We'll take care of that for you annually, starting now and going forward. That provides access to all of the resources that IEN has either existing on their website, their upcoming events. There are always member discounts, and as we'll talk about the summit that's coming up, some specific CSU discounted registration pricing for that. And there are also a number of partner organizations that IEN has relationships with that may have specific applicability, or you may have interest in based upon the focus areas of your own endowment. That is a benefit of membership. And George talked a little bit a moment ago about the new endowment impact benchmark. That's a good example of that. I know CSU Foundation is serving in the pilot portion of that program. In fact, we have our meeting to look at our results from that tomorrow. That's a good example of it's very akin to getting your lead ranking, but for your endowments, and what are the steps that you're really strong on, and what are some of those items that may be next steps if they're appropriate. One of the other things that I really want to emphasize that George mentioned is there's nothing prescriptive in IEN membership. And because of geography and industry and donor relationships and a number of other factors, each campus really does need to take a look holistically about what the appropriate steps for making sure that their endowment investments are intentional and aligned with the university's goals. we're very clear and always have been that there is not a system-wide mandate for divestment in fossil fuels. There is, from the 70s, a resolution from the Board of Trustees that auxiliaries should consider socially responsible investing in part of their portfolio. But there is not a divestment mandate. But there are tools for all sorts of steps. And seeing that poll result, that kind of the governance and fiduciary responsibility portion is of most interest. I know for the CSU Foundation, when we updated our investment policy statement to include an ESG mandate, that was the biggest point of discussion, related to returns and all of those things, as those should be focuses as well. Let's also look then at what are some of the exclusive CSU benefits that we get for our system-wide membership. Part of that is having a voice in the leadership of IEN. So we will be offered several seats on the IEN steering committee, which helps position us as institutional leaders in this area, which we know is of importance to many of our constituency groups. Many campuses often start either their ESG, or perhaps it's divestment, or perhaps it's impact investing, because constituencies like students and faculty maybe started coming to your finance and investment committee meetings, or your general main plenary board meetings. If you haven't had visits from those groups yet, I promise you they are coming. They even found the CSU Foundation. Most don't even realize that it exists. And we were able to have some really constructive dialogue with them. And the nice thing about this too is that in addition to your campuses and your philanthropic auxiliaries, students, faculty, and others, you can make the materials available to them as well, which is a great way to help educate them that there are lots of perspectives and ways to approach things, particularly on the student investment programs. If your campus has one of those, some really nice ways that your students can connect with students at other institutions who are doing that as well. Any of you may participate on IEN, the various steering committees, and get involved if you have particular interest areas, or want to learn more or demonstrate some leadership in those areas. And as your system-wide contact for the membership, I really encourage you, if there are particular topics of interest, we can see if those meet a critical mass, and we can ask IEN to do some customized training for CSU auxiliaries, your key volunteer leadership and such, to make sure that we've got the right professional development for our staff and volunteers. And lastly, it is an opportunity, and this is important for certain rankings that you may have, like stars, that are asking about how different responsible investing activities are shared in the media. This is another opportunity through IEN to help continue to get that message out. And let's look at the next slide, Sam. And these are just highlighting a few of the other. Really want to emphasize that there are real campus specific benefits for that. We touched on, kind of the national leadership of being all members, but this really can assist in fulfilling that fiduciary duty of providing training and guidance to your finance and investment committee and your other board members. And depending on your level of stakeholder engagement, making that as productive as possible and allowing them access to other information as well. And so kind of with that, what really wanted to do was let you hear from a couple of your peers about existing members of IEN and how they have utilized their membership over time and found value in it. So we're going to hear from two. I'd first like to introduce Jeff Jaconitz from San Francisco State. And Jeff, can you share a little bit about how SFSU has been involved in IEN and that has impacted your investment management?
Sure. Thank you, Aaron. Hello, everyone. Great to be here with you today. I want to start by saying that San Francisco State's relationship with IEN is longstanding and, in fact, predates my arrival at the university. It has become it has always been an enormously important resource and peer community for us. And it's been integral to the work I've done with my foundation board in the 3+ years that I've been at San Francisco State. We find IEN to be an incredibly helpful resource in a lot of different ways. We, as many of you have heard me say, probably ad nauseum, undertook a revision of our investment policy statement a couple of years ago, and having IEN convenings, resources, partners available to compare notes, have questions answered, really learn about where the field, the leading edge of the field was vis-a-vis carbon or post-carbon economy investment policy statements, as well as DEI goals within an investment policy statement, were just incredibly important to us. And we got where we wanted to be with our new IPS faster and better than we would have otherwise. There's also been a number of times where we've come across some asset managers who seemed in convenings with IEN who seem really interesting from a values alignment perspective and, frankly, an investment opportunity perspective. We've been able to refer those folks to our current investment advisor, Cambridge Associates, who's also a very active member of IEN. And that's been a helpful resource for us as well. I think it also speaks volumes that our investment advisor is a member of IEN. We each came to our memberships independently, and the fact that that Cambridge is in these convenings with us a lot of the time is really a helpful source of synergy for us too. I'd also just say that a number of our directors have found a number of our board members have found these convenings and resources really helpful over time. And in terms of I also just want to say IEN's been helpful to us in terms of a platform. So once we were able to revise and approve our new investment policy statement, in no small part because of support from IEN, the then chair of our board and I were able to participate in some wonderfully public programming in New York at Climate Week. It's a terrific way to get San Francisco State's name out there in concert with our investment advisor. And that kind of recognition makes a big difference, not only for our general efforts to elevate the visibility of the university, but frankly, a number of our prospective or current donors who, when they take an interest in making an endowment gift, find an additional value proposition in knowing that their gift is going to be invested in ways that reflect the values they share with the university. So it's been very helpful to us, and I'll just leave it there.
Thanks, Jeff. I really appreciate that, and especially the highlighting of how it helped get the message out about how San Francisco State is approaching this. I have no doubt that San Francisco State is really seen as a leader in this area, often on the bleeding edge, but still having that appropriate due diligence and fiduciary responsibility. There's been a lot of noise in the community over the years, and so happy to hear you describe that. So thanks for sharing that. And I'd like to introduce Greg Sachs from Cal State Fullerton. Greg, can you share a little bit about Fullerton's experience and your experience with IEN?
Yeah, and just to follow up on what Jeff said, I actually want to congratulate the CSU for jumping in and creating this. It, I think, will offer a whole series of different opportunities for the system that they never knew existed. I also want to thank you for using this picture because it's about 15 years old, and so it's perfect that you're using it. So I thank you very much. And I also, though, want to thank George's and his team for being willing to partner with the CSU, because it makes just perfect sense. We're so aligned in so many ways, and actually the timing of this related to the program that's going to be in Long Beach just down the road very soon makes a ton of sense. You know, Fullerton's engagement with IEN is actually relatively new. It's probably maybe a couple of years old, and I think initially we didn't fully appreciate the volume of opportunities and resources that IEN had. And it wasn't until I was able to go to a conference of theirs last year that I really kind of understood the scope and how big it is, and the way in which it's on the leading edge. But also the other thing that I really appreciated is that it was exceptionally balanced with all the different stakeholders. I'm sure many of you have investment committees like mine that, while they certainly care deeply about making sure we have an IPS that has an ESG component and all that other stuff, they're about returns, about getting money in the hands of our students and other campus stakeholders. And so what I found in IEN is kind of this balance, so that they get it. They get it that there's lots of stakeholders coming from lots of different places, and there are ways to have really responsible ways of investing at the same time, you know, meeting the goals that you may have. So like I mentioned, it's been a relatively new engagement, but I'm really excited about where it goes. The one thing that I'll mention, though, is when I was at this conference, I was able to be part of a program with a group of HBCUs, and it was so much fun because so many of the challenges that those institutions are going through are the challenges that I hear all the time in the CSU about issues of funding, issues of recognition, and also that we collectively as a CSU are deeply committed to issues of social justice, of social mobility, and things along those lines. And I think that was kind of another point about IEN, is that I was able to be in a setting to where I learned so much from a different set of institutions that I frankly spend very little time with. And so being able to have that level of interaction was really pretty cool. And so I'm really excited about kind of where we go from here. And so thank you for the chance to say a few words.
Thank you, Greg. Really appreciate that, and appreciate too I think the balance between the experience that you shared, what Jeff has shared, and I think it highlights again that there's really a place for everybody, whether you're I've talked recently with some campuses that are really just starting to look at some of the more intentional ways they may want to approach their endowment investing. All the way up to those who have taken some steps and maybe are ready for the next step. I know that's really where the CSU Foundation is. We've been a few years in with ESG in our investment policy, and now are looking at, well, how do we want to approach, with our proxy votes or whatever the next step is. And it was a 5-year process of bringing our board even to ESG implementation. And a lot of it was around those discussions about returns, the fiduciary responsibility and such. And ultimately, we were able to demonstrate to them that this was the responsible decision. And excited about those next steps. So thank you both for sharing your experiences there. We're going to move to really kind of the last presentation component, where Nicole's going to take us through what some of the onboarding steps you could take or select from if you're interested. As I mentioned, in addition to the full slide deck, we'll specifically highlight this and the next slide because there are some really good action items if something has piqued your interest about how to get a little more involved in that. And then what we're going to do is close out by talking about the Higher Education Climate Leadership Summit and either address any of the questions in Q&A. And I encourage you, if something has popped up, go ahead and put that in there. But we'll also have an open time where if you just want to live ask a question or make a comment, any of those things, we can address that. So Nicole, let me turn it over to you to talk a little bit about how folks can dip their toe in getting involved in utilizing their membership.
Thanks, Erin, and thank you so much for those wonderful overviews of your experiences to date, Jeff and Greg, in the network. It's really great to hear. I just want to kind of build off of some of those highlights at a high level that Erin shared around the overview of IEN membership benefits that we have listed on this slide, some general benefits that all members get, and then a little bit more detail on some of the CSU specific benefits as well. And as Erin said, we will share all of this afterwards, and I think really explicitly state how you can express interest in any of these initiatives or opportunities to engage. But just to give you a flavor of some of these opportunities, one piece that we really love about the virtual component of our network is the ability to have everyone involved in a member portal and a member directory where each individual on a campus, and that's all of you on this call or anyone on your boards, in your endowment offices, students, faculty, anyone across your campuses that are interested in these conversations can get access to our resources, be involved in the directory to connect with peers, and hop on the portal to see some of these next steps and abilities to engage. So that's one piece, is getting everyone that's interested up in our systems to have access to all of those resources. Another piece of that are regular updates that we share with members of our network. So we have a really great weekly news roundup that my colleague Bella curates, a newsletter with updates, and then we have listservs that are oriented around each of the initiatives that George highlighted, where if you have specific questions or thoughts or resources you want to share related to net zero considerations or JEDI or trustee peer learning, that you can pop into those topical listservs and connect with others that are interested in those topics as well. On the general IEN initiative front, in addition to those listservs, we also have regular calls where those groups convene. So that's another space to connect over Zoom. And those are roughly quarterly, and we have roughly one call for each of those initiatives around those different topic areas to connect on. And on our website, we have each of those initiatives, descriptions, members, and the IEN team point of contact listed as well. And we'll talk more about the summit, which is our big upcoming event. We also, in addition to the initiatives, the summit, we have other webinars that we put together on specific topics and other peer organization events that we list on our website with discounts to attend as well. So registering for IEN event and partner events are a great way to engage. And then to Jeff's point around sharing just leadership, if there are things you're excited about that you're working on, we're always open to hearing from our members, contributing on the blog or to webinars, speaking on initiative calls, speaking at events, highlighting the work that you're all doing so that others can learn as well, and the kind of mutually supportive vein of the network. And if we look at the next slide, On the CSU exclusive benefits front, Erin mentioned the opportunity to kind of have these self-designed workshops that are more specifically targeted to either a group of campuses, individual campuses, depending on where you are. Really happy to work together on that. If there are specific questions that are coming up on your campuses that you'd like to address that we can help with. On the participating in the IEN steering committee or the steering committee of IEN initiatives, would just again iterate that we're really enthusiastic about that opportunity for anyone to engage within the broader network or those specific topics that there's interest in. And we'll circle back to the summit itself on this last point here around resources and thought leadership. I just wanted to point out Sorel on the team as a great person to reach out to. She mentioned those member profiles on our website. If there are specific things you'd like linked on those profile pages or anything you'd like highlighted on social media that you're doing on campus, really just in addition to those potential webinar blog placements, just little things that we can do to uplift the work of each of you. We're more than happy to do that as well. So I think that brings us to the summit, which I can give a really general overview of and then hand it back over to Erin to share some of his insights on what the conversations will be like. Erin's been a really active and we're very grateful for his participation in our summit advisory committee to help shape some of the sessions that we'll be having. So the summit will take place February 11th to the 13th in Long Beach, and we host the summit in partnership with another nonprofit called Second Nature, and they focus on higher education sustainability, really looking at campus operations, research, the academic side of things. And then we bring in the endowment piece and together host the event so that there's a main convening space at the highest level of leadership, looking at presidents and trustees having the ability to connect with each other across all higher ed sustainability topics. And then we also have kind of tracked conversations where we're really focused on our side on the endowment conversation, where we have presentations, lots of discussion, dialogue, opportunities for networking and connecting across a lot of these topics that we mentioned. So that's my high level overview. And Erin mentioned there's a CSU discount specifically and some comps associated with membership to get as many of you that are interested in attending as possible there.
Thanks, Nicole. And really just closing out on the summit, this has been a really great opportunity to, between Second Nature and IEN, they convened myself and counterparts at the community college system and the UC system. And the three segments have agreed to serve as sponsors of the summit. It's not a financial commitment, but it is a commitment that these, three systems of public higher education in California are all supporting this summit. And so we're really excited that we've all been able to come together for that. The element of what Nicole shared that I want to expand on is the Second Nature side of things, which is where some of your colleagues that are going to be in the sustainability area on campus or in facilities, this is also for them. In fact, this was my excuse. I really hadn't worked much with my colleagues in capital planning before on how we were approaching endowment investing and how they were approaching the physical infrastructure sustainability of the university. And we've been able to do quite a bit of collaboration even in the last couple months on that. So this is a good chance to talk to your colleagues in those areas on campus. In terms of who you might think about attending, certainly we see a number of campus presidents, vice presidents for advancement in their role of overseeing the philanthropic foundation. We see some vice presidents for business and finance on that, on the facilities side. This is also a great opportunity to bring in board leadership that you think would find value in this professional development. And I certainly will be asking the treasurer and chair of the finance committee for CSU Foundation and potentially some other board members to attend with us. One of the benefits of system-wide membership is it gives us the opportunity to have a little bit more of a voice in shaping the summit. And also to highlight some of the leadership of some of our campus presidents. And so we're actively right now talking about how we can do that, and having this right in at least the CO's backyard. We are hoping to have a strong CSU presence here. So in the follow-up information that we send out to you after today, we will also include how to access the discounted registration and such, so you can start planning for your attendance if that's of interest to you. And that really brings us to the end of what we formally wanted to share with you. I don't see anything specific in the Q&A, but if there are any questions, you're certainly feel free to type that in there. Or if someone has a specific question and wants to raise hand on that, we'll pause for a few seconds and see if there's anyone who has a question they'd like addressed now in the last few minutes we have together. All right, this clearly must have been a comprehensive overview. But please, as questions come up or other thoughts, particularly after you get the follow-up email that we'll send to you later today, you can always feel free to reach out to me, and I'll put my email there in the chat. Happy to dialogue with you and get you connected to any of the right folks at IEN. We want this to be a value add for you and hope that it is. My thanks to the IEN team for this partnership and being on the call today. Thank you again, Jeff and Greg, for sharing your campus experiences. And thanks everyone for being here. We appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day.